Hey, I'm Scott.
And I'm Sku.
We're here with an OSD toy review. Transformers, one of my favourite toys of all time.
One of my favourite things of all time. I mean, it harks back to my childhood. Transformers came about in 1984.
84 they were released?
I believe it was like the toys were made first, and then a television show sort of kind of spawned from that in a way.
Yeah, it was a case of an American businessman was in Japan. He saw this line of toys that they had over there of robots which turned into cars and that sort of thing. He said, hey, that's a cool idea. I'm going to take that back to America. Where Hasbro went and decided, okay, we're now going to launch this as a big line of toys. It was all repackaged Japanese stuff. It had such a huge success that they then started doing original ones, and it's just blossomed from there.
I mean, it just has not died down at all. Transformers
really
is just huge.
It
They
is.
are some of the most enjoyable toys to get your hands on, and today I believe you have brought one in for us to have a look at.
We do. We have this fellow here, Orion Pax.
Yeah, he does sound familiar, and he looks
a bit familiar.
very familiar too. He looks a little bit like Optimus Prime.
Optimus Prime, Orion Pax. Could there be a connection? Yeah, there is. Orion Pax was a concept introduced in one of the original 80s cartoons episodes called War Dawn, where a group called the Aerial Bots, which are the Autobots which turn into jets, travel back in time to before the beginning of the war with the Decepticons. And they come across this fella by the name of Orion Pax, who seems like a pretty okay guy. He ends up getting shot up, and then he gets rebuilt into Optimus Prime, which is the Optimus Prime that we all know and love from Generation 1 onwards. So this is sort of him before he becomes Optimus Prime.
Autobots transform and drop the bass.
Okay, so he's got some cool colours on him here. He's got the classic blue and red and grey that Optimus is sort of really renowned for.
Yeah, it passes what I've heard some reviewers call the squint test. If you sort of squint and look at him, he looks kind of like Optimus Prime. So he's got the same sort of window for the chest sort of thing, and the red arms and the blue legs, which harkens back to that original Optimus Prime look, and which has been carried through very many of the versions that we've had of him since then.
And he's got his sort of original face there, or very similar to the original.
You can certainly see this being, the precursor to his original face.
You ladies know what I'm talking about. Oh yeah.
And he's got a couple of accessories here. He's got a gun. This gun looks very much like his original
The gun is very similar in its styling to the original Generation 1 gun.
Which is cool.
It's very cool. It looks like it'll eventually become the weapon that we're used to. So these guys come in a fairly nice package. You come with a backing card. You also come with a comic book, which is kind of reminiscent of what they did with the original Marvel Legends. That include a comic book to explain who the character is and give you a bit of an insight into them. And this is something which Hasbro has been doing with this series, I think, quite well. And what they've done is they've taken a reprint of one of the current IDW comics, which, as you can see, are fairly impressively done.
Oh, nice artwork
There's
in there.
a full story in there, and this is one which does focus, fairly decently on the Orion Pax character, so you get some idea of what the actual backstory there is. And of course, the packaging here, if you take a look at this little thing, you can see some of the old Generation 1 designs coming back
Mesh
in the
background
here.
And on the back side there?
And on the back side, you get your bio information, you get your old tech spec.
Oh, I remember those.
And some pictures of him in robot mode and in truck mode. And so now when it comes to the truck mode, here we are. A brief half hour later of transforming him.
What you didn't see is we actually cut. I went away and ate a melting moment for like 10 minutes. It took that long to actually transform him, but here he is.
I don't remember it being this hard.
No, I'm sure back in the old days you could just go, you got really good at it. I could do it in about 30 seconds or even less.
Part of the problem is that the transformation is reasonably complex for this particular one. It feels like it wants to be a bigger toy, and a bigger toy would be easier to transform.
Yeah, right.
Rather than quite so fiddly here. But you do have a lot of the body of the truck being compacted down into basically his legs and folding around the chest and everything like that here. But it's not bad. It is, it looks very reminiscent of an old truck. Quite why they'd have old trucks on Cybertron, I'm not quite sure.
And quite reminiscent of an old Transformer, a classic
Yeah.
80s or 90s Transformer.
Exactly.
Except a little smaller, yeah.
A little smaller, yeah.
Well, I think that's a pretty cool toy, and I'm stoked that they're still making, reasonably good quality Transformers.
Not the best example.
No,
but,
no, it's all right. It's good. I mean, and I'm glad that each generation of kids that comes along are getting into this. My little nephew loves them, and he's just Transformer mad. It's cool to see that the kids still find them as interesting as ever.
I am Optimus Prime.
Well, that's all we got time for. If you guys have any questions or comments, leave a comment below. Make sure you subscribe and like us and do all of that stuff. And Scott,
thumbs up to you for watching, so please give us a thumbs up as well.
see you next time.
See ya.